What's up, guys? Happy Friday. I am ready for the weekend. It's been a nice cold winter week, and I'm ready for the days to start getting longer too. So, soon enough. So today we're gonna jump right back into part two of my vending journey, becoming a Pokemon vendor part-time, and how that's been going for me. And so yesterday we pretty much went over the early half of this year, my time in Florida, did a handful of shows down there. I was traveling 6 hours each way to go to 2-day shows, because I was up in the Panhandle, and shows, any good sized shows were down in Tampa or over in Orlando. So there's a lot of travel involved and all of that stuff. And like I said yesterday, my wife and I, we were kind of like teetering back and forth. Are we gonna stay in Florida? Are we not? And then I got in a car accident, and it kind of just made my mind up for me. And we were already kind of leaning that way, and that was kind of the final straw. So I think we did one more show after the car accident. I think we did one more in Tampa, if I remember correctly, was the last one. And yeah, all the shows in Florida were good. I think it was called Tampa Bay Sports Card Show, but it was at least, I think it was more than half Pokemon, or about half Pokemon anyway. So yeah, in July, it took us a while to get our stuff together and figure out the moving arrangements and all that sort of stuff. And pretty much as I think we came back second week of July, something like that. And as soon as we got back, I didn't jump right into vending shows because I had a business to set up again. Because my full-time job is home remodeling. I do interior renovations, mostly kitchens, baths, drywall, painting, flooring, cabinets, trim, all that sort of stuff. And so I'd been running a business of that variety up here for like 6 years. And when we got back, I pretty much went right into setting that business up again. I rebranded. I got all my promo materials, business cards, brochures, got all my social media set up, all that sort of stuff. And really quickly, because I do have a network here and people do know who I am, and they've seen my work, and I know a lot of people locally because I grew up in this area. Really quick, I got work booked out, like a few months of work booked out completely. And so pretty much as soon as that happened, that took maybe a month. And I would say as soon as I got the work booked, then I jumped into vending again. And I did a few smaller shows. It was like a newer promotion out in Eastern Mass. And those shows were okay. They were kind of small, kind of slow, to be honest. But if they were local shows, it would have been fine. But we were driving like at least 2 hours each way for these shows. And they just it wasn't really worth the squeeze. But, it was good because I did meet a lot of people in the vending space up here, because, I'd only been vending in Florida. I didn't have connects here to the market, or not many at least. I had a few, but not many. So yeah, I started doing those shows. I did, I want to say 3 with that card show promoter, and they were fine, but like I said, just not quite close enough for the slower traffic at the shows to be worth it for me. And so now I've switched over, and I've started doing one show that I talk about all the time. If you know me, you half chance you know me from this show, is the Pokemon Outlet in Lee. And over here in Berkshire County, that's the only show. The next closest shows there are occasional shows in Springfield area, and there's a lot of shows over in Albany area, which is not very far from where I live. So good chance next year I will be doing some shows over in the Albany area. But for now, because I am growing a full-time business in the construction industry, I can only really do 2 shows a month right at this point in time. Anything else is a little bit too much of a stretch, and I don't really feel like I'm doing justice to my customers in my remodeling business if I can't at least get 40 hours in every week, or at least average that out. Because currently, I do a show on average every other weekend, and the Friday before a show, if you're a vendor, I guess some guys don't price their stuff before every show, but in this market, I think that's like a clear mistake to be making. Prices just fluctuate too much, and if you're overpriced, nobody's buying them. If you're underpriced, everybody's buying them, and you're losing money. And so if you do that enough times, you're gonna really cut into your profit margin and your sales volume as well. Because, say every couple weeks you go to reprice or you don't, 50% of the stuff might stay the same, 25% up, 25% down. So you're cutting out 25% of the stuff you might have sold because it's going to be overpriced. Then 25% of the stuff that you would be selling is going to be underpriced, so you're losing margin there. And then the 50 you'll be fine, but those margins, this whole thing is all about the margins. Very few of us are getting stuff at retail and have these gigantic margins to work with. You're normally operating on 20 or 30% margin. And so if you're cutting into that at all by being lazy, you're going to have problems over the long term, especially. A Friday before a show, I take off from my day job and I price cards all day long. That's what I do. And so on the weekends that I don't have shows, or at least 1 out of 2 weekends I don't have shows, I work to make up for those lost 2 days a month. And, so that's how my schedule rotates right now. 1 week on for 7 days, or six days at least, sometimes 7. Following week on for 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to card show prep and card show. Or that's how it works with 2-day shows at least. But anyway, so now once a month I've been doing the Pokemon Outlet and in Lee because I love the show. I love the vendors. It's a smaller show, but there's not many options for collectors here unless they want to drive an hour or more. And so it's great because we're starting, and it's new, we're building it. Not that I'm involved in setting it up, but I plan on being one of the vendors that sticks around there. And so, we're trying to build it up and grow the show and get more eyeballs on it and all that sort of thing. And so I really like that show. The vendors are great. We've got a little crew of vendors, and it's a vibe. So I'm going to continue doing those. And so in reality, moving forward and lately, I've only had to book one other show a month. And that makes it a little easier to pick and choose which shows I'm going to do. I haven't really settled into any. I'm kind of keeping my options open. I'd like to move into, especially next year, doing some more big shows, some more of the casino shows. I mean, the dream of everybody in the vending space is to figure out how to do a Collecticon or one of these bigger type shows like that. So who knows? Maybe next year I can figure that out. But for now, the casino shows, everybody does EC3. I haven't been able to get into that one yet. But I am doing Foxwoods. Hard Hitting is doing a Foxwood show in January. I think it's the 10th and 11th. And so they did their first show at the end of October. And that was a 1-day show. This one's going to be a 2-day show, and I think that's the plan, is to do them every 3 months, 2-day show down at Foxwood. So I'm hoping to do more of those next year. And maybe get into EC3, maybe do some Albany shows. If the Hard Hitting Truck Bar show goes well this Sunday, then I'll probably do that more. So yeah, just kind of explore my options, trying to move into some bigger shows when I'm not at the Pokemon outlet, which is just super convenient. It works well for me. It's nice. I might not make as high sales as I would going out of town, but I don't have to cover the cost of, extra gas, tolls, hotel, eating out twice or 3 times, all that stuff adds up. And so having the lower overhead to me and being part of a growing Pokemon community locally is worth it to me in that trade-off. But yeah, so that's how it's been. Honestly, as far as growth in inventory over so I've been vending at this point. It is December. I've been vending since March. So 9 months about being involved. And my inventory has grown quite a bit. I think, like I said in the last video, my inventory at the first show that I did in March in Panama City, I think I had about 5,000 in product total. Now, I believe I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 10x that. And, yeah, I mean, that's pretty good growth. I have dumped some of my own cash into it, but I've also pulled cash out of it. I've also, I've paid some bills off of it. I've paid some debt down off of it. So I've diverted money out of it too. And I think people should, if you have really low living expenses, or you're younger and you don't really have the responsibilities, I own a house. I am running a business completely separate from TCG business. And, when you have stuff like that, sometimes you take profits and you move some of your money off the table. And so at this point in time, I think I've invested, about a net zero into the hobby. I think I'm kind of at a break-even sort of point. I should be a little bit better about accounting and tracking of numbers and stuff like that, but to be honest, I kind of I'm more of a a ballpark kind of guy. I kind of have a lot of numbers running around in my head all the time, and that's one of the things next year that I really need to dial in business side wise is incorporate track expenses, track sales, and do a little bit better job with that sort of stuff, because I've been slacking this year. But with 2 cross-country moves and diving into a whole new industry and resetting up a business, and for the last 5 months working full-time, or more than full-time really, I'm doing my best, and we're all doing our best. As far as my goals for next year, aside from just getting into bigger shows, that's one goal, is do bigger shows. I don't think I'm going to attempt to, we'll see, but I think I'm comfortable at the 2 show per month mark. If there's some really good opportunities, I could stretch myself on that and do 3. But for the most part, I think I'm in the correct range for myself right now with trying to grow another business, separately at the same time as this. So I think that's a healthy split of my time at the moment. So I think my goal in that respect is just to maintain my workload level currently in, work a full week doing remodel work, and then do 2 shows per month, card show wise. I think I may, if I do expand my sales channels as far as vending and TCG business wise, I think my move may be to expand into some online sales, because I do a little bit of online sales once in a while. Somebody will contact me through Instagram or on Marketplace, and they want me to ship to them or whatever. And if people have references and they pay up front, or if we're doing a trade, they want to ship first, I'm fine with it, and I'll work with them most of the time, as long as it's worth it. So I think that sales channel may be what I focus on expanding, while I just, maintain the in-person vending sales. And Marketplace, to me, it's just kind of see how it feels, see how it goes. Some weeks I take my listings down. Some weeks I put up new listings and I update all the time. It's been slow the past few months on Marketplace, to be honest, but I've also not kept up listings as frequently, so it's a give and a take. But it's that time of year. Everybody is, on tighter budgets this time of year, especially for like expendable income. So we'll see. That's kind of the generalized goals as far as vending goes and being in the TCG space. Yeah, it's hard to know what the market's going to do. I think everybody feels this way at the moment. There's a lot of burnout in the hobby right now. There's especially for people who are, lower budget and they just want to buy a box or, occasionally at MSRP and rip it. There's a lot of fatigue for those people in the hobby right now. However, I think we're kind of just reaching a point in Pokemon's history as a TCG, which has no equivalent is as far as like another card game, collectible card game that is at this point. But I think Pokemon is just the blue chip in the space. They very rarely make errors or drop the ball or insult their collector market, which is not the case with every other TCG that's ever existed that's been in the space more than 5 years. People do seem to be really liking One Piece, and it seems like they're doing a pretty good job of taking care of their collector market. But they're new, so we'll see how that goes. But, so Pokemon is kind of like a standalone. And when you're the standalone, you kind of get to set the going rates. And I would be really surprised if we ever see $100 booster boxes again. I just don't think. I think MSRP is going to move up, whether that's officially or not. GameStop's already doing it. I think we're on a very moving forward, I just think MSRP is going to be more correlated with what market price is, or, it's going to move up in that respect. And why wouldn't it? If you know anything about inflation, if you understand, what's happening in that relationship, there's more dollars in circulation, and so things cost more in dollar terms. Why would MSRP stay the same forever? Doesn't make sense that it would. Especially when you have at this point 30-year long track record of being an investable collectible card game where every product's done well over its lifespan. It just doesn't really make sense that boxes are going to go back to $100 to me. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think Pokemon is going to open up a bunch of new printing facilities and flood the market with product and destroy their rep with collectors, because collectors are the backbone of the hobby. It's not like Magic is the players are the backbone of the hobby. Pokemon it's a collector-based market. So I don't think they're going to give their collectors a middle finger like that. I really just don't. I think they've shown and proven that they take care of their collectors and their investors. Now they have institutional money coming in, and the retailers are setting new floor prices of sealed product. I just I don't think that's coming back. And I think some people that for whatever reason they have the price memory of, oh, well, I used to be able to do this and that. You used to be able to go get an ETB for $50, and you used to be able to go get a booster box for $100, and you could rip it. And so there will be some people that leave because of that. There already have been some. There will probably be more. But what's the percentage like? And then what's that percentage of people? What's the number of those people that leaves compared to the influx of people who have come into it, you know, in the past year or two, or even, you know, especially since COVID. You know, I don't know, but I would say like maybe like 10% of the number of people that have came in have left. I don't know, but the collector base is just getting bigger and bigger. And there's going to be ebbs and flows, and you know, at some point we'll have a couple sets in a row where people just aren't that hyped. You know, it's bound to happen. And a lot of the new people will eventually leave. You know, that happens too. When the money isn't as easy to make flipping stuff, or, you know, clearing out Costco and reselling it, a lot of those people will leave. So there will always be, you know, kind of these different waves. And I think a lot of the people in the vending space, that'll happen in the vending space too. I think there's already sort of evidence that there's probably too many shows and too many vendors for demand. I mean, not by a lot. Like, it's not like a gigantic bubble, but you know, I guess that happens in every market that's kind of hot. People jump in when it's like really crazy, and then, you know, right now we're in a cooling period, and I think there are a lot of people that are probably losing their shirt right now. You know, they were buying stuff 2 months ago at 90% to, some people were paying like full market prices on things, especially like these high-end slabs and things like that, because you know, they were new, and they just saw, oh, well, the numbers always go up, and they go up really fast, so I could pay full market price today, and then, you know, a month from now it's going to be up 50%. And, you know, so a lot of those people that were trying to make really quick flips and not really being selective with their purchases or whatever, a lot of those people end up leaving when it's harder to make money. A lot of those people end up leaving when they can't like leverage, you know, their credit and buy stuff on credit and then be able to sell it quick enough to make their payment back. You know, a lot of these people will leave for sure. But I think the question that I'm constantly thinking about, and you know, coming up with ways to work around, or, you know, work towards the goal of in my head, is how do I stay in the hobby long term? How do I set myself up for, you know, the low in the market that is inevitable? And how do I make this a thing that survives the ebbs and flows, the crests and valleys, and all of that? So I think everybody should be thinking about that. That's the video for today, guys. This Sunday, December 14th, Berlin, Connecticut, hard-hitting card shows, the Truck Bar Show. That's my first time at that one. Excited about that. Hope to see you guys there. And if you are local, Berkshire County, Mass, come out to the Pokemon Outlet next weekend, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be fun. And I've got crazy sealed inventory right now. All the new Japanese sealed product right now. Vintage binder, absolutely stacked. Modern binder, absolutely stacked. Case full of singles, $50 and up. Case full of slabs, full, ready to go. So hope to see you guys there, and do some more videos next week. All right, later.